defeat the Washington Capitals. The Rangers had a very, very strong first period. They don't really play with the lead often, and going to this game, they only had one regulation win in their last 12 games, but in this one, they came out really strong, and to me, that's the main thing. Did they play a full 60 minutes? Probably not, but this definitely is a step in the right direction. Again, 19 shots in the first period, resulting in 3 goals, and the Rangers special teams was strong in this game. They scored a power play goal, and the penalty kill was good, mainly in the third period, when the Rangers took 3 penalties, I guess 2 that resulted in power plays. But in this game, Mika Zibanejad scores 2 goals in the first. Patrick Kane scores a power play goal. And I like what he's brought to the power play, even though I still think that ultimately they're going to have to kind of switch up the units a little bit. What the solution is, I'm not sure, but Kane does score a power play goal. And then he also had an assist. It seems like the lines as currently constituted are the way that they should go. Obviously, the fourth line you're not going to touch. Really, under any circumstance, as long as they're healthy, that fourth line with VZ, who had an empty net goal, Goodrow, and Mott, you're going to leave that alone. And I really like what I've seen from it. It is as good a fourth line as the Rangers have had, really probably since 2014, when it was Dominic Moore centering Brian Boyle and usually Derek Dorsett or Daniel Carcillo. It's been a long time, where you don't have to have a Tanner Glass or a Ryan Reeves. You want actual players. You don't want players that are known for fighting. So you have that. And, the kid line, I feel like it's together somewhat by default right now. I still feel like the kid line, for me, Hedl needs to get that 20th goal. I feel like the monkey is it's on his back. Like he reached 19 goals so quickly. And like I've said, he just can't get that 20th goal. So I feel like totally fine with sticking with that line, but I'm not going to act as if like they've been great, but that's all right. The biggest thing that I'm happy about is the fact that Panarin and Kane are separated. That's the best thing. Sure, you want to have them together on the power play, that's one thing. But Panarin with Tarasenko has shown to work. And Zibanejad and Tarasenko, they're starting to show chemistry. And that was very apparent in the first goal of this game. And so then that leaves you with Kreider, Trocheck, Kane. And, with Kane, I worry about the defensive lapses, but there was more jump in his game tonight. And so that was good. Again, for me, there is skepticism with Patrick Kane. As exciting as it is, and as much as I think that he'll, get going. And really, it is very similar to Marty St. Louis. It can be very similar to Marty St. Louis, also in that same 2014 season. But you look at the ice time distributions and the forwards, it really was even. And I'm fine with that. The fourth line is getting a good amount of time. Patrick Kane played 13 minutes and 20 seconds. I mean, you look at it, and sure, Mika, because he plays power play and shorthanded, but really, Gallant was rolling 4 lines, which, when you have a competent fourth line, it's all right. And for the defense, still no Ryan Lindgren. So, Ryan Lindgren misses his 8th straight game, and I thought that maybe he'd be back. I'm concerned, not that there was a setback, but they probably should have, it might have been wise, and maybe it wouldn't have been, you got to think Chris Drury's thinking about all these different possibilities, but it probably would have been prudent to put him on long-term IR when he got hurt, but either they thought that he was going to come back sooner than that, and maybe that will still be the case, but not by much, or it wasn't really going to benefit them to do that. And maybe one or both of those things are true. So with that being said, you have, Ben Harper has been lined up for a while, and for me, like I've always said, Ben Harper is more of a guy who is a 7th or 8th defenseman, and for us, right now, he's the 6th, and then he'll be a 7th. And, I feel like Braden Schneider, his play has dipped. Certainly playing with Ben Harper doesn't help. Not to say that if you play with Mika, it would be all that better. But the Harper-Schneider pair, don't love it. But, the rest of the defense, I still think that Fox could use Lindgren back. It's not an excuse, because Adam Fox is too good of a defenseman where he doesn't need Ryan Lindgren, but that pair is really something special. Whose game I've liked lately as compared to earlier in the season is actually Jacob Trouba. Jacob Trouba, he was really bad for a while, and I mean, and he's been scoring some goals lately. He scored tonight. Like he's not turning the puck over as much. He's logging a lot of minutes. Do I trust Trouba come playoff time? Not real. I mean, do I think that he could be like a major reason why we don't succeed? Yes, but I do appreciate what he brings to the table and the intensity. And look, the effort is always there, and he actually is contributing. As far as statistically. And then there's Igor. Igor tonight, look, he's been giving up goals this season, but tonight he played well, and he actually had an assist. His first point of the season, he got an assist. But Igor makes 28 saves on 31 shots. So like the stat line isn't great, but he was pretty good. This was a pretty good game for Igor. And I do think that he's been improving lately. His team kind of, let him down a little bit. So 4 minutes and 9 seconds in, Mika Zibanejad scores his 33rd goal of the season, assisted by Vlad Tarasenko. Really nice pass by Tarasenko, who I slowly really is finding his game. It was a little bit of a struggle early, but and maybe it's just because I'm comparing him to Kane. That's possible. But I think that Tarasenko he's getting comfortable, and him and Zibanejad, there's some nice chemistry there. And so Mika makes it 1-0. Then at 9:23, Nicholas Backstrom, high six, Alexei Lafreniere. I should also mention no Alex Ovechkin tonight. Alex Ovechkin was out with a lower body injury, and Sonny Milano was out with non-COVID illness. So Washington was out some players, but this was a desperate Washington team. The chances of making the playoffs aren't really all that likely, but they're still in the hunt. So the Rangers get a power play at 9:23, and they don't score. And at 14:29, the Capitals tie it up. Nicholas Aube-Kubel scores his 4th goal of the season from Protas and Irwin. And that makes it 1-1. And on for that was the Trocheck line with Kreider and Kane. And that was a goal where the coverage wasn't great. Aube-Kubel found a sweet spot, and he scored past Shesterkin. So it's 1-1 at this point, but an extremely quick response for the Rangers. 16 seconds later, Zibanejad scores his 2nd goal of the night, his 34th goal of the season from Panarin and Shesterkin. That was a great pass by Igor to get it to Panarin, and Igor set that up. So right away, the Rangers take that lead right back, 2-1. Then at 17:07, Jimmy Vesey draws a penalty. He is tripped, and the Rangers get a power play. It would actually turn out to be their last power play of the game, their 2nd of the period. And they score. It's Patrick Kane scoring his 19th goal of the season, his 3rd as a Ranger, his 1st at Madison Square Garden with the Rangers, assisted by Fox and Trocheck. So Kane just, takes a slap shot and scores past Darcy Kemper. And the Rangers take a 3-1 lead as we move to the 2nd period. And the Rangers would carry over that good play. Unfortunately, Adam Fox is called for a holding penalty at 124, but the penalty kill does a nice job. They kill it off. And then soon thereafter, Jacob Trouba scores his 7th goal of the season from Trocheck and Kane. Nice bit of passing from Kane to Trocheck. Trouba's open and scores and makes it 4-1. Then the Rangers, for half of this game, second period was still mostly a good period. Don't get me wrong. But that first period was great. They had 19 shots on goal. But as the game went on, the Rangers slipped a bit. And Washington scores to make it 4-2. Matt Irwin scores his 2nd goal of the season from Oshie and Sandin. And that cuts the lead back to 2. And then Keandre Miller was called for a tripping penalty. He trips Nicholas Backstrom at 12:43, but the Rangers penalty kill does a good job. And, that's good to see. It kind of came as a surprise to me that statistically I saw at one point they were 17th in the league in the PK. I guess they really did have their rough stretches, but it feels like they've been turning a corner, although when I think about it, against Pittsburgh the other day, they did allow a couple of power play goals, but in their defense, one was a 5-on-3, another was a 4-on-3. So it's 4-2 Rangers at the end of 2. We head to the 3rd. And the 3rd period was probably the Rangers' worst, for sure, of the 3. And Washington was chipping away. There was penalties to Goodrow and Tom Wilson at 3:58, matching minors. And then at 4:36, and this was 4-on-4 at this point, then Panarin takes a holding penalty. He holds Nick Jensen, so it's 4-on-3 for Washington, but no harm, no foul. And then at 9:42, Nico Mikkola hooks TJ Oshie. So, Mikkola hadn't taken penalties in a while, it felt like, but there's one. And the Rangers kill it off, but very quickly after that, Nick Dowd scores his 20th goal of the season from Dylan Strome and Trevor Van Riemsdyk. And that makes it 4-3. So here, I mean, all of a sudden, what felt like a definite Ranger win, all of a sudden it's a one-goal game, and Washington had chances. But then Peter Laviolette does something that bothers me that Gerard Gallant does, and that is he pulls the goalie with, 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. Like, at least wait to see if you possess the puck off the face-off. Right? Like, I don't like doing it, but at least get the puck possession. It doesn't quite happen, and Jimmy Vesey scores the empty net goal at 17:49. So with 2:11 left, Vesey caps it, no pun intended. His 10th goal of the season and the assist goes to Keandre Miller. So good, Vesey, who hasn't been on the score sheet quite as much lately because he's moved down to the fourth line, but doing a really good job. And so it's nice to see Vesey, get that goal, get the empty net goal. And the Rangers win 5-3. And for the Rangers, and the results of tonight makes it even more clear. With Pittsburgh losing to Montreal, there is an extremely, I'd put it at 90 to 95% that they're going to finish in that third spot in the division. Now, we learned that Andrei Svechnikov is out for the season for Carolina, and so that really, for me, it makes me lean even more towards wanting to face Carolina compared to the Devils, which is a crazy thought that I would have never had going to the season. Never. I have a lot of respect for Carolina, but I'd rather, especially with that injury, and I feel bad about it. Svechnikov, that's a tough blow for the Carolina Hurricanes. I would prefer to play Carolina. Unfortunately, with tonight's results, Carolina wins, Devils lose, and so that puts Carolina, with a little bit more of a firm grip. It's not strong on that number one spot in the division. Now the Devils drop to 2. So that's an ever-evolving situation, but I've kind of found clarity in terms of who I would prefer to face, but also be careful what you wish for. So now, Rangers will be playing the Pittsburgh Penguins the next 2 games, both at MSG, a rare scheduling quirk, and there was a lot of intensity on Sunday, and we will see what happens in this game. And Pittsburgh's coming off of a bad loss home against Montreal. We will see what happens in these 2 games. And this will be the first game between the Penguins and the Rangers since Game 7 last year. First MSG game between these 2 teams since Artemi Panarin scored that clinching overtime goal in Game 7 last year. So it'll be, I'm sure the crowd will be into it. These Penguin-Ranger games have really been entertaining. And 2 in a row. It has a playoff series feel to it. 3 games against the same team in that short amount of time, and then 2 of them being in the same venue. Really just unheard of. Scheduling wise, but I'm looking forward to it, and then the Rangers from there will have a home and home with Carolina. So kind of in hopes of what I want, that would involve the Rangers beating Carolina, which they've already done twice this year. But we'll get to that when we get to that. For now, it's about Pittsburgh the next 2 games. If Pittsburgh wants to have any hope, and I'm not even saying that it's necessarily a good thing. Again, wild card 1 could be more advantageous than the number 3 in the Metropolitan Division. I see a lot of Ranger fans like, oh, great, Pittsburgh lost. I don't really share those same feelings, but as it stands right now, Pittsburgh is 8 points behind the Rangers. So if they do have aspirations of catching the Rangers, they are really going to have to win both of those games, and that won't be easy to do at MSG. The Rangers played a really nice home game tonight. Again, Rangers win. It was one of their better games they played in a while. Hopefully they can keep it going. They beat the Washington Capitals 5-3.